You want to talk some Clemson
let's
football?
move on to Clemson.
That's it. That was talking Clemson.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We talked Clemson.
See you next
we mentioned
week.
them.
See you next week.
No, 48-14. They took on Florida Atlantic. That's what they should have done.
Yeah. This was a game that Clemson won big the way they were supposed to.
Yeah.
I like I said, I don't think any Clemson fans were really nervous about this game. No. But again, you just you're always a little concerned with the way their first two games have been.
Yeah.
But they came out. Defense looked good. Had a couple. I know they had a few interceptions as a team. I think a pick six, maybe. So
they ran the ball well. Klubnik, he threw the ball well. I think that this was one of those games where just from start to finish they were able to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Riley was able to kind of work on their offense a little bit more and the things that they want to do. So again, this was a game where Clemson should have come out and blown them out, and they came out and blew them out.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what you've seen from Clemson the past couple of years. Their defense dominated, and then their offense can take up off that. Because if you look at the stat line for Clemson's offense, like there's really nothing that sticks out in terms of Will Shipley rushed for 200 yards.
Right.
Klubnik threw for 400 yards. He did have 3 touchdown passes, but it was only 169 yards passing, which is okay. I mean, clearly, their defense put them in positions where they didn't have to drive all the way down the field.
Right, exactly.
Like, it was just a clear, comfortable win. I know I did see something, and if any Clemson fans want to hop in the comments and maybe clarify a couple of things, I know there was an issue with Will Shipley and C.J. Spiller, the running backs coach. I don't know what happened, but it was like a goal line offense for Clemson. Klubnik handed the ball to Shipley. He didn't score, but he got down to the 1 yard line, got taken out. And then I don't know what was being said. I don't know what transpired. Like clearly, I think it's just a gamesman thing where he doesn't want to be taken out of the game, but he clearly wasn't happy about it.
Honestly, I think that he's starting to feel the way that some of the fans are. Is that he's supposed to be the feature back?
Yeah,
and sometimes they get to they have a tendency to not use him the way that most people, and myself included, I think that they don't use him the way that they should all the time.
But I mean, his backup's pretty dang good.
Yeah,
Phil Moffitt's really good.
Yeah,
but I mean, Shipley's stat line was 10 rushes, 38 yards, no touchdowns, 2 receptions, 7 yards. But again, this wasn't a game where Clemson needed to have these gigantic games from their playmakers.
They just needed to go out there, build on something, because they didn't, like I said, last week against Charleston Southern, the first half, they didn't look great. They looked good. They looked like they should in the second half. And so they needed a game where they looked like they should for 4 quarters, especially, I mean, they've got a big one this week, playing Florida State. Florida
State didn't look good yesterday either.
They didn't. I mean, they barely squeaked that win out.
They should have lost. They should have lost Boston College. But again, this was a solid win for Clemson. This was a game they were supposed to win on paper, and there was no questions about it. Like, they dominated from the first whistle.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to see as a Clemson fan.
Right. What they don't want to see this week is them losing, because they'll put somebody on the hot seat quick if Clemson loses this game. Because Clemson fans still view themselves as a top 5 team, and you're not even ranked.
Yeah, and I mean, I like I said in the preseason, it's still Clemson's conference until they get dethroned.
To say that, I think that I would almost be willing to bet that they put them back in the rankings this week, especially.
I don't think they will.
To bill it, for Florida State as getting a ranked win. I could very well see them putting Clemson back in.
From what I've seen so far,
which I'm not even sure what top 25 team. There was a few that lost.
But I think Missouri's kind of crept in.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable if I was a Clemson fan. I would be more comfortable about next week's game than I felt the previous week.
Yeah.
Because Florida State looked human. I think Jordan Travis got hurt in that game. It's his left shoulder, I believe. So uncertainty about him. Yeah,
Florida State definitely looked beatable yesterday. Clemson looked better, looking like they should. So they definitely should feel a lot more comfortable coming in this game. Then, like you said, watching them play against Charleston Southern and the way that Florida State was playing at the time, you almost check that off as, this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, and, I mean, Florida State's game against Boston College yesterday, it was the red bandana game. It's about the guy with 9/11 in the World Trade Center. So I feel like that's always a game Boston College is just going to play hard for.
Yeah.
So maybe that was it. It was a one-off thing for Boston College. Maybe it was a one-off thing for Florida State. But again, this game next week in Clemson, Florida State is a preview, in my opinion, for the ACC championship game.
Yeah, and also for Florida State, like I said, they didn't look well yesterday, but I think that they always view Clemson here after most recently since Clemson went on their run the last decade or so, and Florida State was kind of down.
Yeah.
They're going to want to, even though Clemson's not ranked, or even if they do come in at like 25th or something like that, they're still going to take this game, not lightly because they want to beat Clemson.
It's a crime this game's at noon.
Yeah, that's
I get TV purposes, I guess.
to both teams, but I mean, if Clemson was ranked still, if they're top 25, top 15, 10, this is a night game all day long.
I don't know. I guess they're just trying to change up the way they may do their primetime games, where like they want to have a good game, like a good slate all throughout the day.
Right. The kind of way that the Big Ten does it with their big noon. Their big game is the the 12 o'clock game. So I can see that. And it's also like, all right, who else is playing this week? They're already slated for 3:30, 7:30. Let's not compete against that.
Yeah.
Throw this game on at 12 o'clock. Give the people something good to watch. Right off the bat.
What's your prediction?
Florida State wins by 14.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think Clemson wins it.
And I hope that Jaheim Bell has a great game, and then after that, no more great games.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have a funny feeling about Florida State, I guess. I don't know.
They didn't look great yesterday.
That game, at least Duke's loss was against, Clemson's loss was against Duke.
Right.
Florida State's still undefeated, but that, I don't know. Again, that was maybe it's just a one-off thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Clemson's going to come out pretty motivated. I think they're pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
About like some of the and again, that's going back to what we said about Kirby Smart. I think Dabo is a very good person that's a good motivator for his team and can pick little things out to motivate his players.
But anything that he comes up with right now is probably justified for him to use because, all right, you aren't ranked anymore. Yeah. You're not, considered to be the cream of the crop in the ACC right now. So anything that Dabo uses is probably justified in him saying.
And I think a lot of people have him as like probably the third best team behind Florida State and North Carolina.
And then you would have to throw Duke ahead of them. I mean, Duke's still undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, they're winning convincing games. I mean,
they did beat Northwestern yesterday.
But they did it the way that they should.
Exactly.
They won handle it. So Duke is definitely looking better. Clemson could be the third or fourth best team in the ACC right now. They need to come out and win this game. Yeah,
and it's going to start with their defense. It's like we said in previous episodes where it's not where they're always a dominant offense and a dominant defense. I think it's middle of the pack offense with a great defense.
Yeah.
So if their defense can stop Florida State and put their offense in good positions and in good field position, I think Clemson wins this game.
I think that they're going to put it again a lot on Klubnik. And I just don't think he's that guy.
At least he hasn't shown us. He did good in the ACC championship game, but he hasn't shown us yet.
Right.
And this could be a good officially coming out party for him, where he could arrive. Or I think you'll know more about what he'll be.
If he doesn't have a good game, Clemson fans will probably be calling for him to be replaced.
I guess. I don't know. I think you have to be patient with him because he's still, like I said, he's a sophomore.
As an outsider looking in, you do. But they're so used to having that elite quarterback, and then now for like the last 2 or 3, they haven't had it, and they're getting fed up with that.
I saw something on Twitter last night, and I didn't screenshot it or anything, but somebody was asking about like all these freshman receivers that they got, and somebody asked them, or I think somebody chimed in and said, well, maybe they're trying to treat it as like a redshirt year. And they're like, those days are over with. Yeah. There's no more redshirt years.
Right.
It's either you're playing or you're transferring.
Right.
So it's like I get concerned from that standpoint from just a college fan where it's like, you do get concerned when these players come in and they don't play right away. They're probably just going to leave.
And that's my concern with Harbor right now is like
I don't think he's going to transfer.
I think that he's still learning the position.
Because it's not like he's going to go to an Oregon.
Right.
I mean, he probably would for track purposes, but it's not like he's going to get immediate playing time. Like, if he's not ready to play on that side of the ball, it's just not – he's not ready to play.
I think he's got to be athletic enough that, let's get him some game reps because you can do as much as you want at practice, but until you do it in a game, you don't know truly – what you have. So even if he's looking good in practice, get him out there. Let's see it in the game. And, at least if he goes out there and sees like, okay, I did not do this well, he knows that he's got to improve, that he's got to do certain things at practice to be able to get on the field.
Yeah.
But kids these days, man, they want to be on the field now.
But I guess the one downside of that is we don't really have many games where you can kind of tinker and experiment.
Right.
I mean, it's just the fact that we've got the third. They showed it on the graphic at CBS yesterday. We have the third toughest schedule in the country.
Right.
We don't have the luxury of like, and it sucks because he was such a highly touted recruit. You want to get him in there and play, but it's like we have very minimal opportunities to use like a learning experience. Yep. It was perfect for Furman last week because
we didn't do it.
I mean, he got in there and played.
Yeah, a little bit,
but I mean, up until halftime, it was kind of an iffy game.
Yeah.
So we just don't really have the many opportunities some of these other teams do to like, okay, they have.
Well, with Juice out, we might just have to bite the bullet and get out there because we need some dynamic players on the field.
Credit to Omega Blake.
Yeah.
Davis.
We've had a lot of guys pick up the slack for, in the receiving game.
We have the options at the receiver position and the tight end position. I'm not worried about that, but I just don't want to put them out there just to put them out there just to keep them happy. It's just I don't think
not
that
really keep him happy.
Anybody.
I think that again, even if it's 1 to 2 plays where you get him out there just so that he's getting those game reps, that's only going to benefit him and the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can do as much as you want in practice, but until you get out there and everybody's going 100%.
Yeah.
Because as much as you go hard at practice, nobody's going 100%.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Because you don't want to hurt yourself.
Exactly. So we got to get them out there.
But I've got Clemson and Carolina both winning next week.
I got Carolina winning, and I got Florida State winning.
By
48.
In the first half.
Yeah.